Right. We're here at the Craft Beverage Expo with Marc Martin. Marc, how are you, my friend?
Excellent. Good to meet you, Justin.
You as well. So we've been talking a lot this week about the state of the industry, craft as a whole. We'll get to craft, the definition, and all that fun stuff in a moment. But for now, let's talk a little bit about the craft beer industry. You're an expert. You've designed these systems for a long time. So tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do and what's going on in the industry.
Well, I've got a company called Northwest Brewery Advisor. And that sounds fancy, but it's basically just me. I think I'm on my 61st brewery startup. Wow. I started about 11 or 12 years ago. I was a former founder of the Green Dragon Brew Pub Bistro on the East Bank of Portland, just off of Belmont Street. And we have since sold that out about 7 years ago to Rogue. So since then, I've had many guys get a hold of me and say, "Hey, you set up the Green Dragon Brew Pub Bistro, and it's pretty successful. Could you help me with mine?" So eventually, it just became a business. And I think one of the reasons I'm so busy is I really don't charge a whole lot. I don't really need to make a lot of money anymore. I'm pretty well set in life. So, and these young guys starting out, they can't afford some of these $1,000 a day consultants. It just kills their budget. So that's kind of how I got into all this. Well, originally I was a brewer myself. I'm through UC Davis in the mid-90s.
Davis?
Yeah, Davis. Great school. But at any rate, I've probably got a good thumb on the overall heartbeat of the industry, just from the grassroots level of what I do. And I think probably one of the things you want to know about is how I view the current state of what is happening with closures and all the negative press we're getting about them.
That is exactly what we want to know here today. But first, a commercial break. Just kidding, we don't actually have commercials. So let's jump into this.
Wait, I am the commercial. Wait a minute.
There we go, perfect.
A quick word from our sponsor.
Yes. So yeah, please, let's dive into the industry. There has been a lot of negative, the sky is falling for a long time. I mean, I remember in late 2019, the last article I read about wine was, wine is going to drop 15%. Unfortunately, COVID happened. And it didn't fall, it increased. So what's beer doing? How's beer going? What are the naysayers saying? And who are these people? Let's find out who they are. And let's start there.
Well, the current situation is, and you see all the negative press about closures. And what you'll find if you kind of analyze where these closures are occurring and the causes of the closures, it's real revealing. Now, a lot of the closures are in oversaturated markets, metro areas, places like Portland, Seattle, Denver.
I think there's at least 3 or 4 craft breweries between those cities. So,
yeah, definitely. So it was a saturation point was one of the issues. Of course, COVID had a major effect on things. That was one of the beginnings of what started to happen, because with COVID, since there were not people coming into the tap rooms, the breweries had to pivot and go to canning or packaging of some sort. And what else did customers discover? They discovered that they could stay at home and get Grubhub. They could get a 4-pack delivered along with food. They didn't have to go anywhere. They didn't have to spend money on expensive gas like it is now. So they didn't have to go to tap rooms. So that's reduced tap room business. A second issue is the fact that in these metro areas, a lot of people bailed out of the offices downtown. And now we're barely back to 60 or 70% occupancy again. And those were the folks that were going out in the afternoon or evenings after work and going to brew pubs and going to restaurants with a large tap set. So that had a major effect. But the real issue has been the breweries that based about 50% or more of their business on wholesale keg sales. And that has really hurt. You look at like Bart's talk from the Brewers Association on his view of what has caused the industry to decline. It's been a lot of the tap business.
Yeah, that's honestly, a lot of on-prem has not returned to the levels that people were expecting. If you look at numbers from, the distributors, some of the big ones, Breakthrough, Southern, and not Young's anymore. What is it? It's
Well, we have Columbia distributed.
Columbia Distributing. That's right. Yeah, that's another one up there. But anyway, they're all saying on-prem is still struggling a little bit, and it's changed. So, what are some of the biggest challenges that craft beer is facing right now?
Well, pricing is one of the issues. The price of malt has gone up a lot, mainly because the yields this past 2 years have been off. And of course, the outlook for this year isn't all that spectacular either. So a lot of farmers have taken out malt and replaced it with other crops that are a little more profitable and a little more climate, less sensitive to the current climate issues. So malt has increased dramatically, and then of course the transportation of that malt. All these price increases have incrementally impacted the cost of production, and consequently the price that has to be charged to customers. And when customers start seeing $8 and $9 pints, they're only going to buy one.
Yeah.
And that's also the reason why, as we've heard recently, there's been an increase in people buying higher ABV beers.
Yeah.
Because if they're only going to have one, might as well have one that's 8 or 9%. So yeah, that's had a major impact on things. Right now, though, it sounds like a lot of doom and gloom, but from my perspective, it's not that far off as far as new openings from the peak of things like 5 or 6 years ago. 5 or 6 years ago, I might do 7 or 8 new startups a year. Right now in process, I have 6. So it's not that far. And I like to say if there's a town anywhere in the U.S., 25, 30,000 people, and not another craft brewery within a 20-mile radius, there's an opportunity.
That's a valid point. I will say, just based on the data and based off of just keeping your eyes open, it's not so much a ton of closures. But what you're seeing is a lot of consolidation. What you're seeing is a lot of big brands buying up small brands. That's happening in craft spirits. It's happening in craft beer. It's happening in wine. Wineries who we once thought were, brilliantly independent and make good quality wines, they're now owned by, giant conglomerates that become grocery store brands. And it's unfortunate, but it happens. So no more doom and gloom. Craft beer is strong. Honestly, craft itself is strong. And that brings us to an interesting question we're going to ask. We've been asking on the Swig and Ramble podcast, and our BevFluence audience would like to know as well. What is your definition of craft?
Craft. Well, first you should start off with local, and that means something that's made locally for the particular market, sourced with local ingredients, most likely, if at all possible. Especially in the Northwest, we've got all the ingredients you need within 200 or 300 mile radius. But craft is a product that is specifically designed for the market, locally sourced, and produced by people that have a real desire to do that. It's not like the BMC, the big three, where it's an industrial process. This is hands-on manufacture of a product that is designed for the market, that the market desires, and keeps coming back for more and more.
Well, there you have it. Craft beer, all strong. And we'll see you again, my friend. Thank you so much for coming on.
Okay, thanks a lot, Justin. Bye-bye.